and also to run the instructional planning class report that will or can inform your small group instruction. So in these slides, there's a video of this demonstration as well, and a how-to document that lists the steps. But I'm going to go ahead and log into the demonstration account. And so when you get to your STAR homepage, you're going to go to the assessment that you taught, either STAR Reading or STAR Early Literacy, to get to the record book, because that's where you are able to create and manage groups. So STAR homepage, select the tile of the computer adaptive test, then select record book. For many of you, you will only see your class listed here in this class or group drop down. If you're a school-wide user, you'll see all of the students in the school, so you'll have to select a class. But just for this demonstration, I'm going to be making a group with grade 3. So the first step is to get to your record book, then to select Manage Groups at the top. If you've already created groups, you will see the groups that you've created in this table here. If you have no groups yet, you will select the blue Create New Groups button. Then again, if you serve multiple classrooms, choose the classroom that you want to make the students from. So that will be the student set. And I am going to make it for grade 3. If you, for example, are the RTIF and you want to make a group with students from different classes, you would select the students hyperlink and just type in the students' last names and then select their name in the checkbox that appear here. For the purposes of this PLC, we'll create a group based on STAR Reading results, and so it will have the latest STAR Reading, so any of the January or February STAR Reading results. Once I have all of these drop downs where I want them, keep the benchmark at the default state. And yes, they are also great for ELD groups. Thank you, Julia. Once you have all these drop downs in place, the student set that you are going to create your group or groups, you will select the blue Create Group button. Oh, right. So then it will take you to this Creating Groups page, and you will see at the top one, and then this is the name of the group that you're able to highlight and change. So far, I only have one group that I could create right now. If I select Add, then I could create 2 groups with this student set, and then I can select Add again and create 3 groups. So you can create as many groups as you would like within the student set that you chose early on. And I'm going to create 3. And you can name them any way that will be helpful for you to remember who's in the group. It will list the group class name first, where you got the student, and then the group name that you named. So for me, I'm just going to name them Group A, Group B, and Group C. And so now you can see this Group A are the students that I'm going to select the circles for in this one column. And then students who are going to be in Group B will be in the number 2 column that I select the circle for. And students in Group C will be in the 3rd column. Something that is useful to do is to sort your students by scaled score first, so that you are grouping them in the most like way. So one way, and the reason why I showed you the review of scaled scores and the benchmark categories, is because you're going to be using these groups to run an instructional planning class report. You want students who are performing in a similar way, so that the focus skills that are suggested will pertain to the median of those students. So this is just a demo class, so this is not real student data, but in looking at this student's scaled scores, I would not want to put, say, this student Odie Grape with Alex Juniper because the scaled scores for those two students are almost 300 apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide to put these three students together in group A, which is my number 1 column. And then I will put these two students in group B in my number 2 column. And then the rest of the students, since they are at the meeting or exceeding benchmark category, I'll put them in my group C, number 3 column. So once you've selected a group for each of the students in your student set, you'll go ahead and press save. And then you'll see that reflected in your student groups, manage groups page. So now that I have these student groups in place, when I go back to my record book, I'll see them reflected here. So because the students were from the grade 3 class, I now see grade 3, group A, B, and C here. Right, so that is how to create groups in your STAR record book according to your student scaled scores. I'm now going to show you, using those groups, how to run the instructional planning class report. So you may have run the instructional planning student report for individual students, or you may have run the instructional planning class report for your entire class. But something important to note is when you do run the instructional planning class report, it's going to suggest skills that are for the median scaled score and percentile rank of your class. So that's why it's most useful if you create a group of students with like scaled scores or like benchmark categories, and then run the instructional class planning report, because then it will give you the median results for just those students who are performing similarly. So I'm going to go ahead and demo that next. Again, you will start at your Renaissance homepage, and this time you'll select the Reports tile and then STAR Assessments. And from there, you'll scroll down to the Screening and Instructional Planning section and select Instructional Planning Class Report tile to start the process of running this report. Okay, so here is where you will apply the group that you created. So first you have to make sure that the subject and assessment type is correct. So for me, it was grade 3, so they took STAR Reading and they took the STAR Reading Enterprise. If it was kindergarten, you would choose subject as reading and the assessment type as STAR Early Literacy. If you assessed in Spanish, you would select Reading Spanish. And then either STAR Reading Spanish or STAR Early Literacy Spanish as the assessment type. And you can also run those instructional planning class reports in Spanish or in English. Okay, so I'm at Reading and STAR Reading Enterprise. I only want to run it for one of those groups that I just created. So I will select Groups hyperlink under the Students dropdown. And this time, I want to run it for my group B from that grade 3 class set that I created. And I'll scroll all the way down in this pop-up and make sure to select Save Selection so that it holds just for that group. And then in the demo account, it shows the date range as required winter. For you, it will just say winter in your accounts. And then you will leave the scale as the default. And it is helpful to just show the focus skills so that you don't have a super duper long list of skills that are suggested. But if you want the focus skills and the corresponding skills, you can uncheck this one. And it's also helpful to identify the English and Spanish transferable skills if you teach in a school with a lot of bilingual Spanish-English students, and obviously if you teach a Spanish pathway class. So once I have all of those in place, I'm going to go ahead and select the blue Update Report button, and the report will load at the bottom of your page. And as I said, it will show the median scaled score for the group. So this is a very small group. It's only 2 students. the median percentile rank, which again, percentile rank is just being able to compare the students to students in the same grade who took the same test at the same time nationally. And then it also shows the lowest and the highest ends of those two data points. But here is what you will be looking at these reports for mostly, which is the suggested skills. So remember when I told you that the focus skills and these assessments are grade agnostic. So depending on the skilled score, the instructional planning class report will suggest skills in different grades. So they're categorized by domain. So you can see the literature. There are none that are recommended for these students according to their latest administrations. There's foundational skills, focus skills suggested, et cetera, et cetera. So this could be a starting point for what skills you might want to teach during a small group instruction session for a strategy group. And again, use your discretion as you know your students the best. And if there's a skill here that may not align with what you're observing in the class, then don't use it and go on to the next. I do see there's things in the chat. Are there any questions that pertain to what I've been talking about?
Yeah, somebody asked that if they share students from other classes, like they're in a bilingual Spanish and they come for bilingual Spanish lessons, like how do they get access through those students if they're not on the class roster?
Email aao@sfusd.edu and we'll have to list you as like a partner teacher in the system because we're not able to get that information through Synergy sometimes. So if you email us, we can do that for you.
Thank you. And then Julie just shared that plan, they created all of their ELD groups K5 just as a site, so then people could have access. So that's another way to do it.
That is great. So there's a question about changing the groups. So these are just stat groups because they exist for as long as you delete them, but you can edit your existing groups and I can show you that really briefly. So you just go back to your record book and when you go to manage groups, you would select the add edit button and then from here, you can start moving kids around into different groups. You could rename your groups. So as students progress in their learning, they may need to go to a different group. And so you can edit them in that way. So they're just called static groups in that they exist until you change them or delete them.
And then Michelle asked, and this is a kind of maybe a Lisa question. I think I know the answer, but I'll have Lisa answer it anyway. Does the district have aligned lessons to the suggested focus skills in the new curriculum? So there still hasn't been a decision made there. So Lisa, if you don't mind responding to that question. Lisa's not available. Just I will say quickly is that the new curriculum, because these are all based on standards and the new curriculum is also standards aligned, it won't be like a line lessons for this particular standards, but there will be a progression of standards. I just saw Lisa unmute, so Lisa can add on.
Rahima, of course you got, yes, exactly. The adopted curriculum is standards aligned. There are very specific skills identified within the curriculum. And you know, as we adopt the new curriculum and become more acquainted with it, we will definitely work on more alignment towards the STAR assessment. But I think it'll be a lot easier to navigate with the new curriculum than it might be for you right now.
Hey.
Thank you.
And then like,
go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. And then like Crystal mentioned, like all the links for how to do these things are embedded in these slides. If you need to go back and watch the video again or see a document, that's also all there.
Thanks, Rahima. Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
for me. And it was really fast. So you will probably have to access those resources as a refresher. But that's all. And if you do need to get in touch with us at AAO, here's all the different ways. I do encourage people to join our Star Micro Learning Google Classroom, as it has a lot of very short videos to learn more about the background of the test, and just to acclimate yourself to knowing how the scores are reaped after an assessment is taken, and just more of the background information to make you understand where all of these results come from. Thank you.
And I just want to echo that communicating and reaching out. One of the teachers at Carver and I called the number, got someone picked up right away and was able to answer our question. So I just want to plug that so folks know there are many different ways to reach out. Someone will respond with an answer. So thanks for joining us.
Sure.